So we're visiting Indiana University's Imaging Research Facility, a cutting-edge laboratory that allows members of the Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences to look inside of the human brain. And we're getting a personalized tour from Dr. Sharlene Newman, the facility's director.
So when a subject comes in, the first thing they'll do is have a seat, and then they'll complete a safety screening form. So before anyone can go into the magnet room, we have to make sure that they don't have any metal in or on their person. Well, if someone has ferromagnetic metal in or on their person and they go into a room with a really strong magnetic field, what you think will happen is what will happen. That metal's going to want to move, and that will not be a good thing.
How much does an MRI machine cost?
The machine costs a little over $1 million, so 1.1 to 1.2 million.
Wow. For
just the machine. That doesn't include the room that the machine is in.
Taking down the wall.
And it looks like a typical clinical MRI system. So there's the bed that raises and then you slide in. Yes, it's a one big superconducting magnet, right? And so you can probably hear this pump going, and so that pump is pumping helium to keep it super cool so that the electrical current doesn't dissipate and the magnetic field doesn't go down. So it's decorated this way to make it more comfortable for children. So one of the labs in the department, Karen James's lab, she scans kids as young as 4 years old, and she tells them that they're astronauts going off into space. So whenever electrons and protons go into a magnetic field, you know that these electrons are spinning randomly outside of a strong magnetic field. So if you imagine them, they're just kind of spinning randomly. When they're introduced to a magnetic field, they all spin in the direction of that field. So then you have all of the electrons in your body that are spinning in the same direction. So what we do is we transmit a radio frequency signal, so the same as like what you're getting from your cell phones or from the radio, and then that radio frequency signal will tip them out of alignment with the field, and so now they're spinning out of alignment. When you turn it off, it goes back into alignment with the field because they're spinning in multiple directions. So they go back into alignment. As they go back into alignment, they transmit a radio frequency signal that we measure. Right? So that helmet in there is a radio frequency transmitter and receiver. So it's picking up all of these radio frequency signals that all of the electrons in your brain is transmitting. And then we do lots of fancy math. And then we get these beautiful images of the brain. The nice thing about MR, which is different from X-ray and other types of imaging modalities, is that you can get really fine detail of both hard and soft tissue. So in X-ray, you can only get hard tissue, but here you can do both, right? And that's the beauty of MRI. And the other beauty of MRI is that you can manipulate those radio frequency pulses and the timing of those pulses to get lots of different types of imaging. So and here we only image the brain because we're psychological and brain sciences, so that's really all we care about. But we do lots of different types of imaging. So MR, we do the high resolution anatomical imaging, and all of our subjects leave with a CD of these images, and so they can walk out with pictures of their brain that they can plaster on Facebook or well, I'm old, so I guess Instagram is. But we do lots of functional imaging where we're looking at what parts of the brain are active when you're performing a task. We also do diffusion imaging, which allows us to image the white matter tracts, and what we're doing is measuring the diffusion of water to do that. That's the beauty of MR, is you can do lots of different types of imaging with the same scanner.